The great thing about finishing up October is that it's real easy to see where you are for the year. So dealers, a good exercise right now is, everyone just finished the month. They're going into October. They've got 9 months of the year out of the way. So it's the last quarter, October, November, and December. So what I like to do each quarter is it's kind of like a ball game, right? You got 4 quarters in a football game. It gives you a chance to catch up. If you're behind, if you made some mistakes, if it's almost like a reset. So each quarter is a good reset opportunity. And the best thing to do really is to, and I told a couple of dealers I didn't have time to call everybody and talk for an hour. So I said, hey, just watch the show today, and I'll kind of go over some of the things that they all wanted to talk about. So a good starting place today, guys, is go ahead and get that financial statement out. You just got it printed. Whether you lost money, made money, regardless, go ahead and get that report out, and then get a annual trend. So go back and just get either 10 months or 12 months of data. 10 months is easy because if you're looking at your report, you can just divide it by 10 and know your averages without having to do any math. You just, so I like to go back and just get 10 months of data and take that financial statement today and take your 10-month trend report and go through and look at those averages. And a good thing to do real quick is look at your expenses, obviously. And if you see something that's really high, out of whack, so let's say you've been averaging, $60,000 in advertising, and all of a sudden in September you had a strong month, and you notice on that report that it's down. It's only got 50,000 there, so you had a $10,000 drop, but you didn't spend any different money. Well, what's going to happen? Now, in October, someone in accounting didn't do the math right, and now there's going to be an extra $10,000 of expense you didn't plan on having, because that money is going to get paid regardless. And so taking that, starting your month out, going into the quarter by looking at your trend reports, you can go through and you can see where something may be coming that you weren't prepared for, where something may be coming that you can plan for, but also you can look for things you can change really fast to make sure that your third quarter is strong. Because traditionally, we know that from Black Friday through the end of the year, it can be great. But right now, and realistically, October and the 1st of November can be challenging. So it's a good time to go in and just see where every single account, line by line, you can make a real quick adjustment to make it better for your store. And it doesn't take a lot of adjustments. If you're averaging, if you've lost, let's say that you finished the month out and you had a bad month, let's say you lost $20,000. Well, there's probably 100 different accounts on your statement, and you can go through and just adjust a couple places and get back to even real fast. So one of the guys I used to work for would tell me, the financial statement is just a report card of how the month ended. It's not really the truth of the dealership. And so, but it is also what those general managers that get fired and have high turnover get judged off of. So get that report out and look at it and see where you can make some quick adjustments. So it won't take long at all. And then also look at your gross numbers. So if you've been averaging, let's say you've been averaging $1,800 a copy on new car front end gross, and that's been your yearly average. In September it was $1,200. Well, see what happened. How can we fix that? How can we adjust that? So just the first thing I want to talk about was just don't be scared of your financial statement. And then also, Billy, if you're a new general manager, the chances is you don't understand what you're looking at sometimes, and that's okay. I grabbed a composite book from 3 years ago this morning just to kind of look for some highlighted things to talk about. And even me, I was like, it took me a second to remember exactly what I was looking at. So if you are a new general manager, and you're trying to understand maybe even what we're talking about, then instead of going to the owner and saying, hey, I really don't know what I'm looking at, you could give one of us a call and we can walk you through it, just to help. You want to seem confident, you want to know what you're talking about. And if no one takes time to teach you anything, then how are you ever going to learn it? There's not a school for how to read a financial statement other than, NADA, NCM. And so I wanted to put that out there, because a lot of guys I was talking to this week weren't quite sure exactly what I was saying. And I said, so, if they would get the statements, send them to us, we can help them and help them walk through that. But, all that aside, just, I guess, part of the motivational part of the show is, it's good to take a reset. It's good to take the stress off of you when you finish a month up. I know a lot of guys who are sick about it, and they're sick because they have reached that highest point in their career, to that point. At that point, maybe, they made it to general manager status. They worked hard. They started washing cars. They sold cars. They did finance. They did all this work to get to that top spot. And now they're worried each month about turnover because there's nowhere else they can go. They're already at the highest spot. And there's not just a lot of empty seats out there because people are really trying to hold on to that job. So it can be very stressful when you get to the end of the month. If it was a challenging month, it's very normal to be worried about it. And then also understand the dealer group typically will only be reactive. So talking with a good friend of mine yesterday, and I told him, I said, look, man, they're just reacting to the numbers. They're not looking for, they don't think you're a bad person. They don't think that you just don't care. You're not working hard. They're just reacting to a number. And so you're always going to be harder on yourself than the dealer maybe. And that's what makes a guy a good general manager or even a good employee, is he's going to care more about not letting the owner down, more so than the owner is going to be upset with him for not doing the right job. But a great place to start, guys, if you are struggling, if you had a couple bad months in a row, a great place to start is go ahead and get that report out. If you don't know how to, if you're on Reynolds and Reynolds or ADP, you can just get a 12-month trend analysis, look at all the averages. And then that's a great place to start, because then you can go to that owner and say, hey, Billy, Mr. Owner, here's 10 areas that we are way off at from over the last 12 months average. And at least he knows, then that guy's going to know that you're looking for ways to solve problems. You're not just making excuses for, well, COVID's going on, so things are slow. So right. I'll stop there, but that's just the first part about just resetting, shaking off the past, resetting, and going into each quarter in a different way. And I'm sure you do a lot of sports stuff and everything, coaching. I'm sure they do a lot of that in those breaks in the games.
Absolutely. And it's you said so much there. I want to talk about the reactive. You do have so many reactive dealer principals and owners, and you have a lot of reactive general managers. Well, and we work with so many dealers, and we see the ones who've struggled the last couple of months, and then we see the ones who are absolutely crushing it. And the difference is they're proactive. And like you say, there's a lot of excuses, not even excuses. There's a lot of legitimate reasons why it can be tough in October. Okay. But the proactive dealers take into consideration that there's a lot of things, such as it's an election year. It is, inventory is still very low in most new car inventory is still very low nationwide. And Halloween takes the last Saturday out of October for us. So, if you retract and pull back and react to these things and react, okay, now it's another slow 8 days have gone by, and you're just reacting, you're going to really have a tough one. So, what our dealers that allow us to actually coach them along, they're prepared, because Caleb is huge about being prepared. He doesn't even come into these conversations that we have without his notes and without his, without his material. So he plans well. So you need to be planning your October, being proactive as opposed to being reactive. So
right. And so to that point, it's goes back to the first show we did. If you're operating in weeks and not months, then these things are not as big of an issue, because you really don't care what month it is. You really don't care, but if you haven't got there yet and you're still living in months, then, you gotta take that reset, refresh, and start back over. So I think weeks are best, but if you're living in the month cycle, and most owners are, living in that month cycle, it's a good way to just get restarted, reset.